Welcome to the Hobby School podcast. Whether you're a seasoned hobbyist or just getting started, Hobby School is the perfect place to learn something new. My name is Dr. Destiny Kopp, and I'm your host of the podcast. But before we jump into our episode for today, the only thing I ask is that if you enjoyed the episode, please share with a friend and give us an honest review on your favorite podcast platform. This helps us get out the content to more people. I also want to invite you to get on our wait list for our next Hobby School Online Learning Summit. These are free to attend, and you can find the link to join at hobbyschool.com, which is also in our podcast show notes. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode. And my special guest today is Michele Riechman. Michele is a personal trainer, yoga teacher, and health coach with her doctorate in physical therapy. She helps women who have put themselves on the back burner finally get in shape, fit back into their clothes, and optimize their metabolism without dieting. Michele, I am so excited to jump into this topic with you today. It's I'm very passionate about it also. Can you tell the audience a little bit more about you and how you help people before we get into all the good questions that I have for you?
Yeah, so I'm also a mom of four. So keeping my health and fitness really simple is important. And that's what I'm passionate about sharing with other women, and especially with moms or busy entrepreneurs, is that you can get healthy and keep it simple. We tend to overcomplicate it. So I love helping moms do that and using all my pieces of my background to bring that together for them.
So today we're going to be talking about some tips to break the all in or all out mindset on your health. And I really want to ask you first, what does it mean to be all in or all out with your health?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people, especially when it comes to our health, we think that we have to do a lot of things. We think we have to maybe follow a diet, or we have to exercise for an hour a day, or we have to be super restrictive. And we either do all these things, prep all of our meals, or we give up. And then people give up and they get stuck. They set themselves up for failure, and they don't even know what to do that they can sustain to get healthy. So really helping people to break that, and that there can be lots of flexibility. You can work out for 5 or 10 minutes. You can focus on just eating one meal healthy a day to get started, and really breaking that mindset that you have to do everything and you have to do it perfectly.
And I love that. So the flexibility and just focusing on one thing, kind of like baby steps, if you would.
Yeah.
And just, build upon that. So that is so very powerful. So let me ask you this. What is the first step someone should take when they want to start making changes to their health? Where would you suggest they get started?
Yeah, perfect. So thinking of 1 to 2 habits and starting really small. So for example, we're thinking someone normally eats 2,000 calories a day, and they think that magic number 1,200 calories a day is going to help them lose weight. That's a really drastic drop in calories, and our metabolism actually doesn't like it. So we want to start small. So you could think of your nutrition. Is there one meal that maybe you could eat less of? So maybe you have a really big plate of rice with different things in it. So maybe you could have half the rice, add some veggies in. Or maybe you could just try to add 3 to 5 veggies in a day if you're not getting any. And the same thing with exercise. Could you just start with 5 or 10 minutes? Could you commit to that? Most people, when I say they're like, I could do 5 or 10 minutes. And just imagine if you're consistent with that 5 or 10 minutes, most days of the week, you're going to start to get stronger. You're going to breathe easier. You're going to feel better. You're going to gain muscle, and you're going to start making progress. And when we start making progress, we're telling ourselves we can do it. So even if it's just 5 minutes a day and you start making that progress, you believe you can do it. And then maybe you'll bump it up to 10 or a little bit more. But starting with something small and narrowing in on just 1 or 2 things to do is what's going to create success and is going to be more sustainable. And you can eventually add more things on, but it's sort of starting right where you are, keeping it small, keeping it easy. And I also want people to keep in mind that a habit usually takes more than 21 days. It's typically closer to a few months. So to really, when we're trying to change something, we really need that longer time of a few months for it to become a habit. So you don't have to think about this. So recently I was talking to one of my clients who is in my fitness membership, and she said she has recently lost 5 pounds. And she's like, it was really just making these small changes. She's like, I wasn't even perfect. I would still have sugar or treats and these other things, but making these small changes and thinking about what she was doing and getting the support she needed made all the difference. And it just became easy without doing anything drastic.
I love that. Moving forward with the small changes. And I didn't realize, I always thought it took 21 days to change a habit, but you're saying it actually takes more than that. So that's something new. I just learned that.
Yeah. I mean, sort of think about different habits or things you've done in your life. If you do it for 3 weeks, do you always stay consistent with those? Do those stick as a habit? Usually not. We really need that a longer time period to make it a habit and make it more consistent.
So once someone starts with these small habits, making the small changes here and there, is
Mhm.
there anything else that tends to come up that we need to be aware of?
Yeah, our thoughts, they tend to get in the way a lot. And when I'm talking to clients privately, they'll tell me their thoughts and how they're feeling. And we tend to feel a lot of shame around how things go. We're really negative, we're really hard on ourselves. So, first, noticing what thoughts you have going on and what you're saying to yourself. Because if you can recognize those thoughts and start to change those, when we're more positive and positive about ourselves, our hormones in our body actually change and our body functions a little bit better. So if someone is thinking, I can't do this, I'm not going to be successful, or they have a carton of ice cream and then they feel shame, they're not going to move forward. All those feelings and all those thoughts keep us stuck where we are. So allowing yourself grace, allowing yourself to start small, allowing yourself, if you have a bag of cookies, to be like, okay, like I'm not going to feel bad about this. Like, what can I do to move forward? So really capturing those thoughts, noticing what you're saying to yourself and giving yourself grace, and also taking that time to figure out a plan going forward. Maybe notice what keeps coming up that you get stuck on, journaling about it, talking about a friend, talking to someone, and figuring out what you can do to move forward, and talking to yourself like you would talk to a friend. A lot of stuff we say to ourselves, we don't even recognize. And we definitely wouldn't talk to our friends like that. So just recognizing those thoughts going on.
So I think inevitably we're all going to have setbacks. We're all going to eat that carton of ice cream maybe that you talked about, or eat
Yeah.
more than our fair share of cookies, or overeat at dinner or whatever. How do we deal with setbacks like that? What would you recommend?
Yeah. So first is know they're going to come, because I think a lot of people start something, they get a setback, and then they give up. So knowing that struggles and setbacks are going to come in our health, because seasons change. Maybe we have kids, maybe we have jobs, maybe we get sick. There's going to be something that's going to come up, and have a plan for that and be able to work through it. So recently, I was talking with a client, and she was just really struggling with eating junk food. So for 1 week, we just had her notice what was going on. She didn't have to change her eating. She just sort of wrote down how she was feeling before and after without trying to change anything. And she pieced together that it was, her main thing was physical and emotional exhaustion. So what we're working on is she's creating a pause for herself, a 5-minute pause, and she's just implementing some things that will be helpful to her in that 5-minute pause. So then she can choose something better. So we're creating a plan. She's creating support for herself, and she's really getting to the problem of what's wrong. So she's not necessarily trying to fix the end result of not eating the junk food. She's working through the harder stuff first so that it becomes more successful.
And I like that, kind of digging underneath to figure out what's causing her to do the behavior that she doesn't want to do. So I love that.
Yeah.
Ca- We've talked about a lot today, and I believe you also have a free gift for us to help us put some of these pieces in place. Can you kind of walk us through that?
Yeah. So if you head to my website on my freebies page, you will find my freebies there. And one great resource to walk you through these different pieces is I have a metabolism webinar. And it talks about it from the nutrition aspect and the fitness aspect, but in a way that keeps it back to these ideas of keeping our habits small, starting small, noticing what's going on so that your body can work better, that the hormones can work better, that you can feel better, and you can do it in a way that feels good for you.
I love that. We'll make sure that that link is in the show notes so they can get that training for you. Any last minute tips before we wrap it up here?
Yeah. Just another tip would be, don't sabotage yourself when you're working on your health. It's going to be a long process. And personally, I've been working on my health for 15 years, and you just do things differently at different times, and you are right where you are. But you have to make a change to get a different result. So you have to be willing to come in and try something. It doesn't have to be hard. It can be something small. But if you want a different result, you have to do that. And our health is so important because it affects our whole life. It affects the way we show up in our family, our business, just being able to go out places and enjoy family or friends.
Now, Michele, I'm going to make sure that the link is in the show notes so people can find you. And I also believe you have a special deal to share with the audience.
Yes. So for any of the listeners, they can use the code HS podcast. And you will get to save 30% on my online personal training for 3 months. So not only will you get started, you're going to have that 3 months there so you can actually start to stay consistent and make some changes. And all this is done online, and it's done at your own time too. So I'm able to customize workouts and habits and everything for people to make it affordable and to make it easy for busy people to do.
So thank you, Michele. We so much enjoyed chatting with you today. And so thank you for sharing all that wonderful information for us in the audience. I will make sure that all of those links are in the show notes and that coupon code so you can reach Michele.
Perfect. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening today. Don't forget to sign up for the waitlist so you'll be the first to know when our next free Hobby School online learning summit launches. The link is in the show notes for this episode, or you can go to hobbyschool.com, and that's Hobby School with school without an H in it. Talk soon.